Hi, this is Teacher Candy, and I've got a very serious topic today that I saw it on a cousin's daughter-in-law's um, Facebook page, and evidently there's circulating around Facebook. I saw a little bit on YouTube. The girl did a TED Talk. Her name is Greta Thunberg, and she's from Stockholm, and she's a very serious young girl. But she is skipping school every Friday to go and protest about the climate change and why politicians aren't doing anything. And she started getting sick and upset about this when she's 8. She's 15 now. So for 7 years, she's been bothered by this. And that means that at 8 years old, she was very scared, probably most likely by a very liberal teacher, about this situation, to the point where she couldn't eat, she couldn't sleep, she had anxiety. And today is March 15th, and they are encouraging students to skip school today and protest. And as a teacher, as somebody who has seen most of the protest things that have gone on in the last 10, 15 years, where kids are supposed to walk out of school, the fact is, let's face it, if you say to kids, "Ooh, let's get together and we're going to protest and we're going to walk out of school for this reason or that reason," kids are all for it. No school, no classes. Hey, I had a test on that day. I don't have to do it. So there's a lot of kids that will participate in things like this, not even because they give a care at all about the topic or the subject, simply because they want to get out of school. And don't get mad at me for saying this, but it is the freaking truth. Okay, I'm going to give you the truth right now. And I think that we as teachers have a responsibility to not be scaring 8-year-olds to the point where they are so afraid. And maybe she watched documentaries on TV. Maybe it's somewhat mama's fault. Who knows what triggered her to get so upset over this topic and so paranoid and scared. But I don't know what, because we don't know everything about it, and why she would get to this point. But something happened, and now she is being used as a tool by the environmentalists. But the thing is, she's never been told the other side. Obviously, she's been told what some scientists say, but she's not being told what other scientists say. And obviously, she also is still young and very impressionable. And instead of skipping school every Friday, go to school, become a scientist to come up with solutions for cleaning up rivers, getting cleaner forms of energy, better modes of transportation that don't use dirty energy, become a politician and campaign and work for it, but in realistic ways, not in the AOC way, because she's loco. So there are lots of things that kids can do. We always had Green Day or Earth Day in our schools. And I always, even if the school didn't have a school-wide project, and I always went to the principals a month or two ahead and said, "Are we going to do anything for Earth Day?" And if they said, "No, and I don't want to be bothered, leave me alone," then I would try and work with, if I was in middle school now, and even in elementary, I would work with the people on my wing or team and say, let's do some projects. And I was English and social studies, but oftentimes the science teachers would also pitch in, and we would do experiments like how to clean up dirty water with different solutions, stuff like that, draw pictures and write stories, different things, plant trees, plant flowers. We'd get permission if we could. One school that I worked at, we actually went and cleaned a river. which was really, really nice. That was in Columbia, though. So there are different projects that you can do within the school. And I think that that's an important thing to teach lessons. And I think also you don't have to skip school to do this. You have Saturdays and Sundays, kids. And you get off school at 3:00, 3:30. And in Stockholm, I don't think you have a lot of homework because it's famous for not giving homework. So since you don't have a lot of homework, you have from 3:30 to 5, 6 o'clock to go and do your protest and stuff and organize things. So you don't have to skip school. It sends a very bad message. It sends a message that education is part of the problem, not part of the solution, that education is not as important as any other little thing that pops into their head to do. And I think that when schools can get together and do a project to teach kids, like I said, and I think service projects are the best. I think kids should work hard. I think that on Saturdays, let's have kids give up a time and go and clean the park near the school. Or let's have them come and clean the school on a Saturday. Yeah. In Japan, the kids actually are responsible for most of the cleanups in schools, and they don't have janitors. It's the teachers and the kids that do most of the cleanup, and it's the kids, and it's expected. In the US, if you would punish a kid by making him go around with the janitor and clean up the bathrooms, the mama would complain. And the kid could have done the worst thing. They could have cheated on tests. They could have beaten up another kid. Whatever it was, it didn't matter. Mama was up there. My kid's not cleaning the bathroom. He's too good for that. Well, you know what? Your kid's not too good for that. And I think that there are a lot of different ways we can teach kids responsibility, and a lot of different ways kids can become part of the solution. For example, I don't know, does this girl, do they have plastic products in their house? Let's get rid of all plastic. Like this is metal, this is wood, this is paper, let's see, but my computer has plastic on it. It's sitting on a plastic stool. Let's get rid of plastic, because plastic is one of the most toxic products in our world today, and they don't break down. They can be recyclable, but the recycling process does as much damage to the environment as the production of the original plastic products. It's not a good thing. So let's go back to old natural products. Let's use pencils made of wood. Okay. Let's give up some of that. And is this girl doing that? I don't know. Greta, what are you doing? What are you doing to save the environment? And what are you working on? For example, I don't know where you live, but maybe there's an industry that is polluting in your city. Well, you can't just say, let's just close it down, because you might have 100, 200, 300 people relying on that industry for their jobs. So Greta, here's the thing. You need to come up with a clean product that industry can produce, or a clean way that industry can produce whatever they're producing, and save those jobs and re-educate the people to maybe do something else that costs money. So that means mommy and daddy are going to have to pay more taxes. That means you can't go see Ariana Grande or do other things that you want to do, because now they're going to have to pay more taxes. Are you willing to do that? And I don't know. I think she might be, but I think a lot of kids that, are jumping on the bandwagon, let's go on Friday and skip classes, they probably aren't, willing to do that. Are you willing to ride bikes everywhere? Walk to school? Ride a bike to school? I did it for exercise. I used to walk to school in high school, and it was, for a high schooler, it's not that bad, but it wasn't like this high school was close to my house. Don't buy, that means that when you turn 16, no car for you. And it also means that even public transportation has to be cleaner. You have to consider that. Public transportation has to be cleaner. It's not just a simple, oh, you big bad politicians aren't doing anything and you don't care about us kids and wow, 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 wow. You have to come up with solutions, Greta. You cannot just yell at the problem. You, at this point in time, are not doing anything to change the problem. You have not come up with a solution. You are not coming up with solutions, and you're not going to school, which means you probably won't be in a position to come up with solutions because you aren't going to be part of the business community, the science community, the political community that is tasked with coming up with these solutions. So don't be part of the problem. And if you can be part of the problem if all you're doing is whining and complaining, be a part of the solution. In Columbia, where I live, we have people who go through the trash, and I actually save all my plastic and give it to the lady who cleans my house because she gives it to her granddaughter, and her granddaughter has a place that she can take it, and they recycle it. But in Columbia, they recycle paper products, they recycle the plastic, they recycle metal products, they recycle paper. What else can you recycle? Metal products. They save those products and actually use them, especially paper. And they go through the process and take them, they go through our trash, people, and that's a whole industry. It's a whole way of life for many, many people. And you see them with these carts, and actually they're not part of the pollution problem either, because God bless these people. You see people with these little wood carts with two wheels, and they're pulling them along, and they've got these huge stacks of paper and plastic and everything that they've collected that they're going to take to a recycling place. So maybe, take a note from a third world country and have people to recycle more. Are you, raise money to put more recycling trash cans in the parks and in the public areas. And then not only have them, but you've got to train the trash guys that pick them up. They have to have trucks. So you're going to have to push your city to have trucks that are for recycling. And I remember Newcastle, Pennsylvania. Shout out to Newcastle, where my mama and daddy were born, where a lot of my aunts and uncles live. I remember years and years and years ago, and I don't know if they still have this, but they could not throw like glass in the trash. They couldn't, that you would get fined. If you had glass in your trash, if you had paper in your trash, if you had plastic in your trash, you had to have special bins for those three products. And you put them out on a certain day, and they were collected. And then you put your trash out, your other trash that was not recyclable, out on another day, and that was taken. And it was, I remember, and this is back in the 80s that they were doing this. So why aren't cities doing this anymore? Or why aren't cities doing this? I know in Augusta, Georgia, they don't do it because I live there. I know in Raleigh, North Carolina, they don't do it because I live there. So all cities should be doing that. And that's something that kids can be pushing. You can be, writing to your local city officials and pushing your local city officials, writing to your state officials, and get a situation going that way. That is something that you can do positive that will make a change. And little changes by little changes, things that you can possibly do will make a change. But skipping school is just an excuse. Really and truly, it's not necessary. You do not have to skip school to make a change. I really disagree with this mentality of skipping school for whatever thing you want to have, and and the teachers and the principals and stuff sometimes get kids all riled up about it. And maybe it's something that kids and the kids and the parents don't agree with, but they're forced because you can't stay behind, and you've got to be, for example, when they were doing the gun control things where they were closing the schools and the kids were going in the streets and stuff after the shooting in Florida, they, and what good did it do? Really and truly, schools are no safer. and don't even get me started on that topic, because I've gone through 2 lockdowns as a teacher, and I sat in a classroom thinking we are flipping sitting ducks in my classroom full of windows that are not bulletproof. So don't even get me started on that topic. And this is another thing. I think that God gave us, I'm a Christian, so I think that God gave us a responsibility to respect the earth and to do what we can to be good to the earth, and to not be polluting the earth and doing bad things to it. But I also know that as a man, when I look at the earth, God's got it. And so the earth is amazing, and it heals, and it goes through so many different changes, and it has gone through so many different changes throughout the course of its existence. And God is not going to let the earth be destroyed until he is ready for it to be destroyed. And just like the ozone layer is repairing itself, just like when we get a cut, our body repairs itself. The earth does repair itself. Now, when we know that there are just like horrible, horrible crimes against in pollution, and people are breaking laws, and industries are breaking laws, and industries are doing things to, oh, my classes are being canceled. That's not fun. Okay, so just like that, then, we can work on things, and we can go after those industries. And there are a lot of industries, the Aaron Brockovich case that they made the movie about. That was a horrible thing that happened. And yes, we should go after these industries that are polluting and poisoning, and especially because they end up poisoning human beings. And yes, we do want a future for our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren. But we have to have a logical set of plans. And some of the things that, the global warming people, and see, they had to change it to climate change, because they can't even prove that global, it used to be global warming. In the 90s, everything was global warming. And then global warming has kind of been debunked by a lot of respected scientists. So now it's climate change. I do believe that there is something going on in the earth. I do believe that there are changes, but I also believe from a Christian standpoint, I kind of see where it's going. And it isn't good, but we can't stop it either. So read Revelations, people. So anyways, it's just a pet peeve of mine when I see young kids being encouraged to walk out of a classroom or walk out of a school or skip classes, because it's just not the right message we need to be sending. Schools don't have the respect that they need anymore. People do not respect their teachers. Kids do not respect teachers. And I'm not, I taught in middle school. I've been in high schools as a substitute teacher. And yet, yes, there's a lot of wonderful kids, but especially in a group situation, there are a lot of smarmy kids who are the leaders, and the good kids keep their mouths shut. And there's a lot of disrespect aimed at teaching and teachers and what is being taught in schools today. And there's a lot of criticism of what's being taught, rightfully so, in some schools. But we need to be encouraging our kids to respect their education. I think there's just so many wrong things going on in education today that the last thing we need to do is be encouraging students to walk out of school. There are so many other ways. And like I said, and people are like, oh, well, you can't tell them to do it on Saturdays. Why not? Where did people come up with this idea that only Monday through Friday can things be done, because Saturday and Sunday is sacred for kids and they must play and stuff? No, especially high schoolers, they're about to go out and get jobs or should be getting jobs or they're going to universities, they need to learn responsibility. They need to learn that there are 7 days in the week and that 2 of them are not solely to party. And so teaching responsibility, teaching kids to make sacrifice and to be make sacrifices is not a bad thing. It's not. It's not a hard thing. It's not something that should be outlawed, Oh my God, my kid had to do homework over the weekend. Oh, poor baby. You know what? I had to do homework over the weekend and I turned out to be a responsible human being. So I just, the way we have this set up today just isn't working. And this little girl, Greta, I would really, really like to know what is being taught to her that she can't even sleep at night and she has such horrible anxiety that she can't eat. Because there are 2 sides to the science story, and nobody's teaching that nature does balance, that nature can fight against, some of the bad things that are going on, and that it's not as bleak and horrible as a lot of people want to portray. And follow the money trail there. Anytime you've got somebody pushing global warming, global warming, global warming, they're making money off it. Al Gore, for one, he wouldn't have a job, he wouldn't have an income if he hadn't jumped on the global warming ban. So you have to look at that. You have to look at the amount of money that's coming into these people and these scientists. These scientists are being paid to say, they're not being paid to look at things scientifically and say, is it really happening? No, they're being paid to come up with I can't remember what I'm thinking. But anyways, they're getting paid to say it's global warming and climate change. They're not being paid to look at it scientifically and say yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, and weigh it. Okay, end of story, end of rant. Anyways, have a blessed day. Read your Bible, read Revelations if you really want to know why some of this stuff is going on. And have a great day. Thumbs up, please. Have a great day. Bye-bye.